An about page can really help your website visitor understand who you are or what your business is, get to know you a bit better. And this is why we are going to create an about page in this section. So we are again logged into our WordPress dashboard as we are all the time. And now we're going to go to pages and we're going to create a new page. And this time we're going to call it About Me. And we're going to click publish again, just as we did previously. Now we're going to go to the Elementor editor again, and now here we can actually edit the page. As we did previously, we want to hide the header and footer from our website. So we're going to go and choose the Elementor canvas from the little menu down here, and then click on update, and now we have a blank canvas without the header and footer. So the first section that we want to create is a slider section. So we are going to choose a section like this, and we're going to go to the widgets drawer, and we're just going to search for the slider or the slides, and we're going to add them like this. Now we want this to be full width. So in this case, we have to remove the padding. And also what we have to do is we have to change the content width, because usually, as we did previously, we have a content width of 1250 pixels. But in this case, we have to make our content a bit bigger and extend to the edges of the screen, because otherwise it just looks a bit weird. So we're actually going to select full width from this drop down. And now you see if we update, this slider actually goes all the way from the left side of the screen to the right side of the screen. Now we're going to add the content of the slider by clicking on it, and then we can adjust the different slider settings. We're going to make it a bit bigger, so we're going to change this to 50. This is the view height, so it's 50% of the screen size that is visible. So just so that you know, that's what we're going to choose here. And then we can edit the individual slides. For the first slide, we'll choose a background image. Now we've imported some images for this, so I just use this, for example, because I think it would look nice. And it should be a cover image, and we want a background overlay as well. For the background overlay, let's look at maybe this one right here. So we're going to choose the secondary low opacity, low saturation value as our background. Now for the second one, we'll just add in a different content piece. So maybe let's add in this different image. Again, these are just stock photos, so not much to see here, but we're just going to add in the same information as we did with the previous image. And then the last one is going to be the last slide that we have. And this is going to be maybe like this one, or yeah, maybe this like strategy thing here. It should cover the page, and then we go to background overlay and we choose secondary low saturation. Perfect. Now that we've got that out of the way, we can go to the style tab and actually worry about the content of the slider. So what we're going to change is the title. So the title is going to have the we'll leave it as white, but we're going to change the typography to maybe header 1. Yeah, so H1. This is the H1 global style, which we're going to apply. And then to the description, we're going to apply maybe the text color, but I think it would look weird like this. So maybe the text for low saturation. We might just leave it white because I think this looks best here, and we will change the typography to be the big text style. So as you see, it gets a bit bigger like this. Then for the button, we'll make this medium size. We'll change the typography to button, and this is just all the stuff that we did earlier as well. Add border radius. We're going to add a text color, which will be white for this state. Then we have the background color like this, border color as well. This is just really simple stuff, exactly what we did earlier as well. So yeah, nothing too special. Change the values around like this. And now we've got the same end result, where if we click on it, it actually, the background kind of fades out. I'm thinking maybe we would want to leave the text white here, because it actually looks a bit weird because the background is not so dark. So yeah, this is maybe better and looks better in this case. The spacing is a bit off in my opinion, so I might take a look at that and see if I can actually remove that. Also, the autoplay is kind of a bit weird, so I don't want that to be there, and I'm going to remove that. But now let's look at the style, and let me see where we can actually edit that. Yeah, the description. So we want this to be something like maybe 30 pixels, and the title shouldn't be that far away, so maybe like 15. I think that looks a bit better. And yeah, now we're finished with styling the content. Now we could actually add in like titles. So we could go into the individual slides, and then we could go to content, change up, you know, the button that appears on the different slides. We could change up the title and so on. So we could say something like, I love working with digital brands. Again, it's not really thought out what I'm going to put in here. This is just to give you an idea of what you could add in here. You could also like add things you did or like events you went to, just as a general idea of what you could do up here in this top slider section. Next, we actually want to copy a section that we designed earlier for our homepage. And I'm going to show you how you can do that easily, because that's a really nice feature as well, that you can actually copy and paste sections between different pages. So in a new tab, I'm just going to go to learnwithjanosch.com, and on the homepage website, I'll just go to edit with Elementor. As you see in the design, it looks a bit weird now because, as you see, the global styles haven't been applied right here. So it looks a bit weird here and there, but that's fine because from now on we can apply them, and we could also just go back in here and just reapply these global styles. All right, but what we want to do right now is we want to copy this section to our other page. So we're going to click on the section and then right click and click on copy. And now we're just going back to the other page. And in this field right here where it says drag widget here, just right click and then click on paste. And now you see we just pasted this piece of content from one page to another easily without having to do any additional work, which is quite nice because sometimes you might want to just reuse a piece of content or a column or some sort of widget that you created, and you don't want to recreate it, and then you can do something like this really easily. Now we're going to do the same with the logos right here because we want to use them as like a trust factor on the about page as well. So in a new section, we're just going to paste this in. And what we actually want to add is a little section above that actually just says brands that trust us, something like this. So we'll just paste in a heading like this, and we're going to align it to the center. Then we are going to change up the styles. So the text color in this case actually should be something like text maybe, because I think this will just look better. Again, we're not going to worry about that too much. I just want to show you how it works and not make it like the perfect website, but yeah, I think you know what I'm doing. But one thing I want to do, because it really nags me, is that this color is different to the global color that we created. So we're just going to change that to what it's supposed to be. All right, and now we're going to change this up. So for the typography, we actually might start off with the buttons as a basis, and then I want to actually change it. So I want to change the transform to uppercase, and I want to make it a bit lighter as well. I think that looks much better. And then I'll say like clients that trust us, or trust me, something like this. Maybe make it even a bit smaller, because that's not small, that's actually bigger. Make the letter spacing a bit bigger like this. Yeah, I think that should be fine. Again, we're not looking for the perfect web design, but I think you get what I'm trying to do right here, and I think we can leave it at that. Next, we'll create like a quick profile of the person that's running this business. So give like some general information about the person, show like a profile image and some contact information. So again, we'll create a new section. For these sections, I think I might actually add in a bit of padding as well. So for the bottom, I might add like 5% or so. Yeah, should be fine. And now we're going to create a column. Actually, we want 2 columns, so we're just going to duplicate the column. And now we have these this 2-column layout. In one of the columns, we're going to add an image like this. We can just put that in. So we're going to go to choose image and then choose the image that we want to use. So that's the portrait I chose to use. And then on this side, we're going to add some additional content. So we're going to use a heading. We're also going to use a bit of body text. Then we're also going to use a inner section with additional headings in there. So there's going to be one in here, and then we'll probably just optimize the other one later. And then we want another item, which is the icon list. Now we can obviously drag these in later. I'm just going to drag them in all at once, and then I'm just going to optimize them later. How you do this really doesn't matter. You could work on one element and then like optimize it and then add in the next one. Or you could do it like I am doing it right now and just add in all of them and then start optimizing. Okay, so let's start writing something in here. So this is like the text that it's about the person. So I'm just going to duplicate that to make it a bit like look a bit more realistic, because usually you would have a bit more text for the person that you're like introducing. For the text up here, I think the H2 is fine. I just say like write down the name here. So we'll call this person John Doe, which is like the default name for any web design demonstration. And then we want to have an additional title actually, or an additional heading that's a bit smaller, maybe like the style that we had up here. Copy that down here and line it to the left, and maybe make this the primary color as well. Yeah, I think that looks alright. So web designer and owner. So this is like his description of who John Doe is and what he does, for example. Now down here, we're going to add the social media links. So we'll again use this heading. We'll copy it down here, paste in the style. We'll make it a bit smaller. So we are going to, let's edit it and make it like size 13. I think that should be fine. Maybe 14. Don't want to make it too small. And then change the style maybe to the accent color that we have. Yeah, we might just use that. It doesn't really matter too much. And then we'll make this into the social media column. Now we're going to add different social media profiles in this list. And this is a really nice way to do this, because we can actually add in icons to these individual items. So we can just go to the icon library again, like we did previously. And now we can search for the social media network. So for example, Facebook. And then we can just choose the Facebook icon and use that on our website. We can do the same for maybe like Twitter, for example. And as a third one, we'll just choose something like LinkedIn. Perfect. And now we can also give a description to these. So we could name this one LinkedIn. The second one will be called Twitter, obviously. And then the first one will be the Facebook link. Now we can make it so that if you click on these, you actually get forwarded to your profile on these platforms. So you can do this by just entering in your link right here. So your Facebook link. And then if anybody clicks on this link, he will actually go to your Facebook page. Now I think I'm going to change a bit about the color theme. So I'm going to make this be the secondary color. And then I'm going to make the icons in that green little color. So we're going to change the size of the icons. We'll make them a bit bigger. So like maybe size 20 might be too much, but let's say size 18. And we'll give it a color of this accent color. And for the list, for the text, we'll actually give the text a typography of the small text, maybe it's a bit too small. Maybe I want it to be the normal text size. I think that should be fine. Perfect. Yeah, so we're going to copy this. So we're going to duplicate it. And now we're just going to delete the other column. And now we'll turn this into the contact column. So it will be the address and the telephone number and maybe maybe the email address and physical address. So we'll say first, we'll say email, just like this. Then we'll choose an email icon. For example, an envelope would be fitting in this case. So like this. And then we might have, as the second one, we might be phone. Oops. Right here might be phone. So we'll choose a phone icon, like this one right here. And then lastly, we'll have like a location icon. So maybe like maps. Yeah, I think that should be fine. And then we're just going to write in the address. And usually we can't actually write that in here. So we would need to enter in the email address right here so that it actually shows up. That was my mistake. So for example, janosch@janoschworkspace.com would be one, and then we could have like a phone number, just a random number. I don't want to to enter anyone's phone number here, so that might be our phone number, and then maybe our location is Berlin, Germany, or something like this. And now you see it gets a bit big, so maybe we do want to make it a bit smaller. I might just go away from the global font and just make it a bit smaller like this, so like size 15. I think that should be fine. Just copy paste that over to the other element, and now I think we're good to go. The last thing that we want to worry about is the alignment, because as you see, it's a bit like covered up or like a bit too close to the image, and it just doesn't look too great. And also the text isn't really aligned, so it's aligned to the top, and this looks kind of weird. So what we can do against this is, in this column, we can go to the vertical align, and we can align it to the middle. And now you see it actually aligns to the middle of its parent element, so of the column, and just looks much better. And also we might now actually just give this image a bit more padding. So we'll go with a percentage of maybe something like 5. Yeah, I think that should be fine. And there you go. I think that looks quite nice. Just remove this line again. This is something that's really annoying actually. Just remove that again like this, and I think now we're good to go. There's one last section I want to add here, which is kind of like a contact/email list section, which will be, it will just be like a basic section that actually just gives you the choice to enter in your email address and to be maybe subscribed to an email newsletter, for example, or to directly contact you. You could do this however you want. So we're just going to give it this background color. We'll just add in a heading as well. We're going to add in some text. And we're going to add in a form, which is something we haven't used yet, but it's pretty easy. So I'll show you how it works. For the text, we want to change this to white. We also want to change the alignment, so we want to give it a bit of padding on the left and the right, like we did all the time. Now a bit on the bottom as well and the top. And now we want to align this to the middle. Say something like stay in touch, or keep in touch maybe would be fine here. Then for the text, we are going to choose a different text style. I don't know if that low saturation text style needs to be changed. That doesn't look good whatsoever. So we'll just keep it white, or maybe like maybe a bit darker, something like this. This is not how you do it, but I'm just going to do it quick. So yeah, this is what it's going to look like. Now for the typography, we'll make this maybe even a big text as well, so like a bit bolder. And now for the form, we have to make some adjustments. So we only want them to be able to enter in the email address, and then for that email address maybe to be sent to us or to be entered into an email newsletter. So that's why we actually can remove these fields right here. This is how forms work. We have these different fields and we can remove them like this by clicking on this X. So we're going to remove these fields, and we'll only be left with the email field and the send field. Now what we're going to do is make this into one line. So we're going to click on the email. We're going to go to column width and say 66%. And then down here, when it says buttons, we're going to also go to column width and make this a 33% width. And now you see it's actually aligned in one line. The way that forms work is you can enter in, so anybody can enter in like their email address, and then you can send that to your email, or for example, you could send it to an email address, an email newsletter, as I mentioned earlier. So let me walk you through how these forms actually work in Elementor. If we go into the form settings, we can go to the content, and this is where we can determine how we want this this form to be sent. Now, first of all, as we just did, we can have these different fields. So we could add a field as well. We don't want to right now, but you can add your own fields, and you can also determine what type of field you want to have. So you could say, I want my website visitor to enter in a text. You could say you want an email address, a telephone number, anything like this. There's loads of different fields that you can use for various different purposes. We're not going to go over all of them right now because it's just too much, but just so that you know, you have these different options, and you can also say that you want them to be required and so on. I think I'm going to go into a bit more detail on these in an additional course where I'm going to go through all of the widgets in much more detail. But for now, we just want to know how this actually works. First of all, if you have this field, you have the option down here for the actions after submit. And this is what happens after someone clicks the send button. And if we go on this, you see this default option which says email. But if you click on the plus, you also see that we have all these other different things that we could do when someone actually fills out that form. So email is the most basic or the most often used version of that, which is that the form is actually being sent to an email address that you specify. So for example, where you would use that most often would be on your contact page, where you have like a big contact form where people enter in like what they're interested in and why they want to contact you, and maybe like a text field of maybe they want to collaborate with you. They give you all this information, and then when they click send, this form will be sent to your email address. And as I said, this is the default option. If I click on this email field right here, you can see you have the options to edit what actually is contained in that email. So you see this is the email address that it will be actually sent to. So once this form is being sent out, this is where it will go to. You see what the subject line will be, so you can customize that. And you can also customize what's contained in the message. So for example, you see things like metadata. This is something that you can actually have included in your email that you receive. You usually don't need this, but it's just nice that nice to know that you have the option to do this. And the second most popular way of using these forms or the form integrations is to connect them to your email marketing software. So if I go back to the actions after submit button or field, and I click on the plus again, you see things like MailChimp, Drip, ActiveCampaign, GetResponse, ConvertKit, and so on. And these all are email marketing software tools which allow you to send out emails to an email list. And with Elementor, you can actually have an integration between these softwares, and you can make it so that whenever somebody actually enters in their email address to one of these fields, you can subscribe them to one of your lists in your email marketing software. Again, this is something that we'll be covering in an additional course that goes into more detail on this topic, because you can't possibly talk about all the topics that are important to Elementor in one course, especially not if it's for beginners. So keep that in mind, but we're not going to worry about that too much for now, but instead we're going to continue building our page.